So I had to ask Silverberg, who states that graduated EMI in 2008. While he was a resident here, one of his noteworthy achievements was that for his last 6-month evaluation, he wrote on a toilet paper roll and said that his biggest strength were his calves. He's currently a professor at Cooper in Camden, New Jersey. You've probably heard his voice before on either MRAP, Rebel EM, there's so many things. He's participated in and run a million conferences. The ones I've seen are Cabo Fest, Puerto Rico Fest, SMAC, King of the Bowl, the list goes on and on, so I'll stop. And thanks for coming.
I love free advertising, thank you. I'm gonna do something a little different today than I normally do, and I'll give you a speech. So faculty, friends, current residents, people who came here because they thought there would be free breakfast, and the class of 2019, thank you for inviting me to speak today. Class of 2019, where are you? All right. Today you join a very special group of people. A fraternity that's been around since Kings County graduated its very first class in 1999, 20 years ago. It includes a class of people who are giants in emergency medicine, many of those people who are in the room right now. I'm talking about an elite group of people who have been yelled at, kicked, punched, spit on, peed on, occasionally pooped on, called idiot, asshole, tight-wearing jeans hipster, person who fornicates with his mother, I'm paraphrasing, Pinkerton, and chocolate eclair. I'm not sure what that means, but I was actually called that once. But despite all that, you're also part of something very, very special. A group of heroes who've had amazing saves, who have performed life-saving procedures on your patients, who have diagnosed esoteric diseases that you only learned about in the first year of medical school, and touched many, many families' lives, all the while being yelled at by patients who said they're hungry and need a lunchbox because they're diabetic. Most importantly, you have learned many valuable lessons that will serve you not only in your current role within EM, but who will be leaders in our specialty as you continue to grow. So my name is Haney Mallemat, and I'm part of the class of 2008, also known as the greatest class ever. No, seriously, you can Google that, it's true. But even if you're not in that class, you're still part of something very, very special. And I've learned that this graduating class is solidly in the running for the second best class ever, so good luck. The theme of today is innovation, and you've already heard some amazing stories from speakers who have succeeded in their lives so far. In fact, I was originally going to tell you some of the things that I've done, but look around this room and see all the successful people, and I figured, what are you going to learn from a guy like me? So you have to forgive me. Rather than talk about all the things that I've done in my career so far, I'd rather tell you about the many lessons that I learned at Kings County and how it shaped me to be the person that I am today. I'm just a regular old guy from Queens, with dreams of being an educator just half as good as the people who trained me, and who needed 5 years to complete his residency program, while most of you needed 4. I was still undeclared by my junior year. Now, where are my residents at? Let me hear you guys. Now I know what you're all thinking. You're probably trying to figure out how you can catch a nap without your friends catching you posting on Instagram. I get it. I was one of you once, too. I slept through most of my conferences in residency. In fact, I used to come 30 minutes early to conference just to get the seat behind the pillar so no one would see me sleeping. So before you doze off, let me quickly give you the 5 things that County trained me. County taught me grit. It taught me how to work smarter, not harder. It taught me the importance of really talking to your patients. It taught me the art of being nice. And it taught me that you should always try and be better. For everyone else in this room, let me go into some detail for you about how the county can break you, but then it will make you. The very first lesson that I learned at Kings County was that you've got to have grit. You are never going to survive this program without grit. Now, what's grit, you ask? Grit is defined as fortitude, resolve, determination, and resolution. Now, I don't know if this is still the case at the county, but I can tell you that I did my own blood draws, my own ECGs, I pushed patients in their stretchers to radiology, I took patients' patient trays, I took away empty trays, I changed beds, I gave patients their discharge papers, and I placed all but one IV during my residency. Sound familiar? County is insanely busy, but the work needs to get done. So you learn early on that the notion of, I'm a doctor, goes away very, very quickly. You roll up your sleeves and you get down to some hard work. That's the ethos at the county. And there's something else that graduates at the county here know. No one in the county works here to impress your attendings. No one works hard to impress the faculty. No one works to impress the program director. You work hard because when you look over, other people are working as hard as you are, or even harder. So you just gotta get it done. And over time, you don't know anything else but hard work. During my residency, I had friends from other EM programs in Long Island, or Powder Puff Long Island, as my program director said, my chairman, Dr. Lucchese. So my friends and I would go out, we'd prepare residency notes, and we'd talk. My friends would start telling me about how nurses would place their IVs. Transporters would take their patients to radiology. My friends didn't even know what radiology was. Techs would come into the room, irrigate lacerations, have everything laid out for them, and all my friends had to do was walk in the room, numb up the patients, do the sutures, and they didn't even clean up their mess. Someone else did that. Try that move at the county. So then they'd ask me, how's it going? And I would tell them everything I did, and they would just laugh. They would laugh at me and say, why would you do this to yourself? And I could never come back with anything very clever. And there were many times I thought to myself, why am I doing this to myself? But that sentiment went away on my very next shift when I went back, when I saw residents and my attendings and nurses and techs working their asses off, and I realized I was part of something better. Because no one ever complained when it was busy. No one ever threatened to quit over mandatory overtime. Now it's true that many people drank till they blacked out after their shifts, but the next day they always showed up and grinded it out. And that is the county mentality. But grit has many more benefits than working hard. Grit gave me a true appreciation for the jobs that other people do around me. I observed how hard the nurses worked, the techs, the clerks, the janitors, and I quickly realized I was part of a very complex and special team. Just the other day, we had a patient at Cooper. This patient came in hypoglycemic with EMS. They couldn't place an IV, and I met the patient at the triage bay. Now, the triage nurse was busy running around trying to get TPA for another patient who was in shock from a massive PE, so he couldn't place the IV. So I decided to place the IV myself. And just as that nurse was coming back to give attention to that patient, I was flushing the line and taking it in. The nurse said to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, you look busy, so I figured I'd place the line." And he looked shocked and stunned. He said, "Thank you. No attending has ever placed an IV line for me before." And I looked back at him and I said, "This is a really nice moment we're having. But can we get this patient dextrose?" When you work hard, your team will notice it and they'll appreciate it. This ethic has also extended to some of the other side hustles that I have. For example, a few years ago, I started something called the Resuscitation Leadership Academy, which is a one-year online critical care fellowship that I started with a friend of mine named Scott Weingart. At first, there were lots of jobs to do, almost too many jobs to do, and it would be very easy for us to just hire people out to do these jobs. But instead, I decided to learn most of these jobs on my own, not because we were poor, well, mostly because we were poor, but the other reason was because I wanted to gain a better appreciation for what people did around me. And now that we have employees, everything that we do tries to make our employees' lives easier and less stressful, so to free them up for the talents that they have. Now, it's definitely fine to put your head down and work hard, but you also need to be more efficient. And so that's the next thing I want to talk to you about today, working smarter and not harder. In a way, it's sort of innovation that Teresa talked about. Doing everything yourself is only going to get you so far. So if you really want to take things to the next level, you got to figure out a way to work smarter and not harder. And the county taught me that too. The best example I have for you was a resident 1 year ahead of me by the name of Rafi Capitan. People in this room know. Oh my God. Well, he is truly an innovator. Let me tell you a story. Now, I told you that I did all but one IV at the county myself. But Rafi got nurses to do all his IVs and his blood draws. I couldn't figure out why. So what I did one shift was I stalked him, like a good stalk. Like I hid behind the garbage can and just watched him creepily. And I figured out what he did. He would walk up to the nurses and put one arm around them and say, "How you doing?" Those new scrubs? I like those scrubs. They would chuckle, they would swoon, they would smile, and then he'd pounce. He said, "Do you mind putting the IV in room 5? And then I figured it out. I had been doing this wrong the whole time. So the next time I had a patient who needed an IV, I saw a nurse show. Who was a nurse who never really gave 2 shits about me. That's not the impression I got. She actually told me that. Many times. So I decided I would take my newly learned voodoo and work it on Cheryl. So I gained my composure. I walked up to her, I put my hand on her shoulder, and I said, "How you," and before I finished my sentence, she said, "Get your silly hand off me, intern." For the record, I was a second-year resident. Now, in full disclosure, I never figured out how to get nurses to do my IVs, but I figured out some other things. Every Friday and Saturday night, as you know, it gets very, very busy in trauma. And when I was a resident, we only had one CT scanner to use, so CT could get really jammed up. So what I did was at the beginning of every shift, I would show up with a box of Joe and 2 dozen donuts and give it to my friends in radiology. And I'd ask them, "So whose CT scans are getting done first tonight?" None of the residents could ever figure out how that happened, but everything got done for me. And that's why it's important to be innovative and work smart. So what's the point of all this? Is it to sweet talk, swindle, or bribe your way through residency or even life? Yes, absolutely. Get ahead any means necessary. However, the other message I want to get across to you is you have to try and view every problem that's in front of you from every angle. You need to research and learn from other successful people around you who are doing similar things to you, and then do your damnedest to figure out a better solution to the problem. The next lesson I learned was how to talk to my patients. I'm not talking about HPI talk to my patients. I'm talking about getting to know who they really are and hear their amazing stories. And let me tell you something, your patients have truly amazing stories. One of the masters of this was an attending named David Dennehy. Oh, so you know. Dr. David Dennehy was a legend for so many reasons. Some of them good. He was a legend for many reasons. But one of the things he truly excelled at was at connecting with his patients on a level that few other people did. One time we were doing walk-arounds at the ED, which we often did with him, and there was a patient with diabetes, a gangrenous foot that was being admitted for amputation. As we got to her room, Dr. Dennehy pulled open the curtain and said, "This over here is Miss White. She's a bad diabetic who's being admitted because tomorrow she's getting her foot chopped off. Too many Snickers bars, right, Mrs. White?" And I stood there in awe. I wasn't sure if she was going to cry or drop kick him in the face. But instead she started laughing. She said, "Oh, Dr. Dennehy, you cray-cray." And I was truly in shock. How could this be happening? But what I didn't see minutes before, is Dr. Dennehy had gone in her room, sat down on her bed, he talked to her, held her hand, and she was the one that broke the jokes about the Snickers bars. You see, his brief interest in her made her more comfortable with him, and they joked around like they were friends for years. So after seeing Dr. Dennehy, I was so inspired to get to know my patients better that I thought I'd give it a try. And so the next patient was an 18-year-old patient who was shot in the leg with a threatened arterial bleed. Now you know how the trauma bay gets. Everyone is running around, the surgeons, the attendings, but no one was paying attention to this young man. So I decided I would step in. And so I got over to his left ear, I bent over, and I whispered to him, "Hey man, I can't imagine what you're going through right now, but I want you to know I'm here for you." And that young man looked over at me, and he lifted his head off the bed, and he said, "Get your coffee ass breath out my face. I just got shot, man. I ain't trying to be your pen pal." Clearly, I had to work on finding the right audience. But over time, I did. And let me tell you, I've met some pretty incredible people in my career so far. I've met people who jammed with Jimi Hendrix. I've met people who served in world wars. I've met CEOs, I've met leaders of gangs. I've recently met a man who served as the first Black Marine in a world war. I've also spoken at length to people that are dying from cancer and just felt so alone that they had no one to talk to, and they just want to tell someone that they are so scared to die. I always try to connect with my patients on a human level. Your patients will thank you for that. Believe me, they will. Because too many doctors are busy typing notes in front of them, trying to rush their patients through their HPI, and few learn about the true human beings that are in front of them. Unfortunately for you, you might be a patient one day, so try to be the doctor that you would want being taken care of. Now, I've never ever felt as comfortable as Dr. Denny had when I take my patient interactions to that level. But what I learned from him is that when you go beyond the HPI with your patients, you gain so much more than this encounter that we normally do. Your job isn't only more rewarding, patients trust you more, their families listen to you, and the whole doctoring thing is just a whole lot better. Now believe me, I get it. You're running around the ED putting out fires for 8 to 12 hours. You're wondering, how can you possibly stop and chit-chat with people? But I also know that we are the specialty with the highest rates of burnout, and I truly believe, and many others do too, that the reason why is because we're losing the human connection with our patients. So take a few moments to learn about the humans that you are caring for. Sit down with them, talk with them. If nothing else, use it as an excuse to just rest your feet because you're running around so much. Just start off by asking your patients, what have you done with your life? And I promise you, the answers you get will be amazing. Now, also equally important is taking time to talk to the people around you, your staff. Get to know who they are. Get to know the security guard, the housekeepers, even the nastiest consultants. Get to know them too. I often find that the meanest consultants are not just jerks because of me, it's because of stuff they have going on in their life. Sometimes it's really, really heavy stuff. Stuff you would never know if you never stopped and connected with them. Now, while I don't condone being a jerk or being rude or taking your frustrations out on another, I've learned to be more tolerant of people being rude because everyone is fighting some sort of war and you just never know what a person is dealing with. So just by learning more about them and connecting with them, you'll often find that they're just a little bit more friendly. The next lesson I learned at the county was the art of being kind. Now, the county didn't directly teach me this because there are a lot of people at the county that aren't very nice. But this is something that I observed in the attendings I looked up to and admired. I look around this room today, and there are many of those people sitting here. But there is one person I want to tell you about, someone who really stood out as I knew him, even when I was a medical student, and that's Dr. Renner, who I'm so glad is here today. No matter how busy it was in the ED, he would always say thank you, even when housekeeping changed the trash. He never engaged bitter consultants, but he would always thank them for seeing his patients. He would say good morning as he passed people in the hallway, even if he did not know them, which is very weird for a guy like me from New York City. Because for any of you out-of-towners, when someone talks to you in New York City, they're either trying to sell you a bootleg DVD or you're about to be mugged. But Dr. Renner was always friendly and personable, and as a result, his kindness created a very positive atmosphere wherever he worked. People were kinder, they helped each other out. Consultants found it really hard to be mean, except for the trauma surgeons because they specialize in doing that sort of thing. Being kind is also self-healing. When you're kind, you start to feel good. It's all about neurochemicals and shit that get released. I don't really understand them, but trust me on this one. When you feel good, you do better work and you don't mind working as hard. It takes much more effort to be mean than it does to be nice. Let me tell you another story. On my very last shift at county, I was really turning up the kindness. And as the shift was winding down, I saw that I was working with Nurse Cheryl. She still didn't like me by the end of my residency. But I wanted to end it on a high note. So I went up to her and said, Cheryl, I'm really going to miss you. And I appreciate everything you've done with me while I've been here at the county. Thank you. Our eyes locked, and I knew this was a very special moment between us. She put her hand on my shoulder, and she said, get away from me, intern. But I'll tell you this, the next patient I saw with her, what do they have in their right AC when I went in the room? An IV. I won. Scientific proof that kindness can lead to unbelievable things. The final lesson that the county taught me was to be the best that I can be. I know, So corny, so cliche, but it is graduation. And please hear me out this way. You're going to finish this residency and be one of the best emergency medicine doctors ever to walk this earth. Trust me, it's true. But graduates, you hold the keys to elevating our specialty to a level so much more. We can be amazing doctors overall, not just good emergency medicine doctors. A man by the name of Mark Silverberg taught me this. Silverberg was one of my mentors and has been a mentor to most of you. One day early on in my residency, I was trying to see a lot of patients and impress Mark. Everyone's always trying to impress Mark. I saw a lady who came in for lower extremity edema, but she looked really, really good, and there wasn't much to do except get her to her outpatient follow-up appointment. I presented the case to Silverberg and told him that she's got leg swelling, it was likely benign lower extremity edema, and I want to send her off to her primary care doctor. He said back to me, "Okay, Haney, what's your plan?" I said, "I plan on giving her a pile of discharge papers and saying goodbye." He shook his head and said, "Haney, Haney, Haney, Haney." He said that a lot to me. When you graduate from here, you can either be a good doctor or you can be a great doctor. I want you to be a great doctor. And that means sometimes thinking a little harder about your patients and doing a little bit more, rather than taking the path of least resistance. So we revised my plan together. We decided to send a BNP, check her renal function. We sent liver enzymes, and we did an ECG. Guess what happened? Everything was absolutely normal. She still went home that day. But his lesson stayed on with me, and it's something that I use today. We are a young specialty as emergency medicine doctors, and we still have a lot more to prove. Other specialties push us around, they give us a hard time when we call them, they don't want to admit our patients, but the truth is we are truly an amazing specialty, filled with brilliant people, and we must always elevate our game to be better. Dr. Silverberg taught me how to do procedures. He taught me how to write articles. He taught me how to successfully drink after a 3 to 11 shift and still show up to conference at 7 a.m. on time. Thank you for that one, that's a good one. He taught me things beyond what an EM doc should know and truly personified what a great doctor should be. Now, I recently learned that he's stepping down as the APD, and I've even heard a rumor that he's not going to be around as much to teach our current and future residents. But I can assure you of something. Dr. Mark Silverberg cannot not be teaching. In fact, if that moment ever arises where someone feels like he's not teaching, he has promised me and all of you to take you out for a steak dinner at his favorite steakhouse, Peter Luger's. Thank you, Dr. Silverberg. So folks, grit, working smarter, not harder, talking to your patients, the art of being kind, and striving for greatness are just a handful of lessons that I learned here at the county. But as an EM doc with ADHD, I also want to consolidate this whole thing down to something that you can take with you to your next shift so it's easy to remember. So if you're sitting next to someone that's snoozed off, go ahead, take your phone out, take a picture, post it to Instagram, and shame them. And now wake them up, because here's the big moment. If you remember nothing else from this talk, I want you to remember a quote by Conan O'Brien. Yes, Conan, the weird redhead guy on TV. He said this quote during his sign-off from his short-lived stint on The Tonight Show. And it goes like this. In life, please don't be cynical, because if you work hard and you're kind, amazing things are going to happen to each and every one of you. And time again, I found this to be 100% the case. So good luck to you, class of 2019, and good luck to everyone else in this room. I'm truly proud that we are on the same team of emergency medicine, and I promise you, no matter how busy a shift I'm ever on, I will always place an IV for you. Thank you.